mate. You've been listening to KEPW LP 97.3 FM. Also live streaming on www.kepw.org.
Welcome to the Age of Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark, where we constantly remind you that love is greater than fear and happiness is resistance. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Age of Fission radio show. It's been quite an exciting week for me. I was up on the 16th in Portland, and I will be sharing another on my next show. We'll be talking about this event that happened in Portland. Tonight we are reading another chapter, or it's not really a chapter. I get through about 8 to 10 pages in an hour. I'm reading Helen Caldicott's book, The New Nuclear Danger, George W. Bush's Industrial Military Complex. And as we all know, it's not really any presidents. They're just taking orders. This was published in 2002. But just a heads up about the thing that happened up in Portland. Please go to the Hanford Challenge. The Oregon Department of Revenue put on a public meeting. It was not a hearing, it was a meeting. And they wanted public input. I believe, from what I could tell, they disagree with what the federal government wants to do up at Hanford. They have been spending the last 10 or 15 years emptying out tank C, or I think 16C. They've got hundreds, 144 tanks, I think it is. So they've been spending a long, long time emptying out these tanks. And now that they're bottom of the barrel, and it's the most toxic because it's all their tools and all the sludge. And I think they have to actually invent machinery just to get near it. It's so toxic. But it's only 62,000 gallons, 62,500 gallons. So the federal government wants to call it low-level contamination, pour concrete on it, and walk away. And that has proven, we know concrete doesn't work. So that is open to public comment. You can go to hanfordchallenge.org. Look that up. It's out there. I am going to be posting, I actually videotape the whole thing. It's going to be up on my YouTube. But I'm also going to post the audio here. And I believe that you can understand everything because it was a very comprehensive presentation. This is something that does affect you, does affect your family, does affect our future. We cannot allow them to just bury their hands, clap their hands and walk away, bury it in concrete and say, good enough. That's not good enough. Quite frankly, my comment at the public meeting was they need to stop being cheap. This is my solution. I want a cultural change. First, I want to end the Manhattan Project secrecy that forces every single nuclear worker to feel like they can't talk the truth and tell the truth. We've got to stop it, lying and saying it causes harm. And that means that we need single payer health care so that people, when they get sick, they can just go to the doctor. And nobody can sue the government for making us sick because they did this to protect us. And I'm one of those. I know they've made a lot of mistakes, but I am not a guillotine kind of person. I believe we need to just kind of like, remember in South Africa when they had that reconciliation with all those tribes that chopped each other up? Like, it was just so grotesque. So in order for those people to move forward, they had to just come clean, apologize, and promise to do good. And they have been. And that's where we need to go with the nuclear industry. And that's my opinion. That's what I said. That's my public comment. I think we need to have a change in culture. And mostly because I think the nuclear industry itself has been lied to. In 2000, and it's on my YouTube channel, I think I found it like in 2016, there was a scientific study. I was doing some research for a class at LCC. And I found a study about a set of 6 scientists in Spain set out to see if the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is called the IAEA, that's how I refer to them, if their safety culture model, how well did it hold up and how did it test up? So they did some research to see how it was holding up, because every single nuclear facility around the world, not just one or two, not just the United States, Every nuclear facility uses the IAEA safety culture model. This set of scientists discovered that it had never been empirically tested. There are 8 markers of safety that they cooked up in the late 50s that has been accepted and passed since 1956. And that's just what everybody uses. A whole set of, relying on your boss and reporting this and doing that. A set of safety cultures to provide super safety for this nuclear industry. It had never been empirically tested. So they set about testing it. They found a nuclear facility in Spain, a nuclear power plant, and tested it. And they did a study, 3 different types of studies at that same plant with 3 different sets of people with sets of different focuses on it. Because their safety culture model is intentionally complex, so they intentionally had a complex scientific study. It failed in every area except for one. And the only one that it passed in was only 50%. And that one that it passed in was if you could talk to your boss about something being wrong. For real. That is why we have the lies of the nuclear industry. And I think we need to just change the culture. So I'm going to get reading Helen Caldicott's book. I'm going to start from page 96 because I ended last week. I had just started a new subchapter called Battle Management, Command, Control, and Communications, BM/C3. And I'm going to read that. It was only a couple paragraphs, but it talked about this intricate computerized system will be the nerve center of all missile defense. It will receive information from myriad sensors and sources the U.S. has deployed on land, sea, and in space around the world. The information will be instantaneously processed by a battle management computer designed to produce a detailed picture of the missile attack. Because missiles move so fast, there will be no time for human input. The computer, therefore, will be programmed to initiate its own anti-missile attack. Obviously, the computer can never be tested under the realistic conditions of an attack. The elements that must be in place for BMC3 to function and include rockets, radars, satellites, transmitters, and command centers as follows. I guess these are the command centers. Ground-based interceptors, GBIs. The GBI is the NMD system, which is ground-launched. It consists of a booster stack missile with an exo-atmospheric kill vehicle, EKV, deployed atop this 3-stage rocket. The GBI will travel at speeds of 25,000 miles per hour, firing the EKV into space to shatter the enemy missile by impact. The booster pack. In 1968, the Department of Defense selected a booster stack design, deploying a commercial off-the-shelf motor stages. Cost. Each booster stack is estimated to cost $3 million. Beneficiaries. Boeing is the main contractor, Alliant Tech Systems, and United Technologies are subcontractors. Evaluation. The first test of the booster stack will not take place until August or September 2001 at the earliest. This means Clinton was pressured to make a decision to proceed with the NMD before the rockets had been constructed, let alone tested. Wow. So they're just like pouring money into stuff they haven't even tested. Kind of like, any different than what I just told you about the IAEA? They built an entire industry surrounding a nuclear safety model that had never been tested, and we're still living with it today. By the way, that reading, and it is boring as all get out, is on my YouTube channel. I read it. It took like 13 installments because I was just determined to get the information out there. And honestly, I would have to listen to it again. I got the gist of it, but in fact, there were parts where I had to just reread it because I could not understand what the heck I read. Okay, back to Helen Caldicott's book. And thank you, Dr. Helen Caldicott, for allowing me to read this book. If you ever hear this reading, I hope I'm doing you justice. Exoatmospheric Kill Vehicle. The following description of the EKV was provided by Raytheon, the prime contractor. The EKV has its own long-wave infrared seeker, liquid hydropropellant propulsion, communications, guidance, and computers to support intercept targeting decisions and maneuvers. Cold gas thrusters are used to control the altitude position of the 55-inch long, 130-pound EKV and aim its seeker as it approaches the target at 4,500 miles per hour. The EKV will have 6 to 8 minutes to hone in on the target and destroy it before a combined impact velocity of 12,000 to 20,000 miles per hour taking place at an altitude of 140 miles. Cost? A total of 24 integrated test flights are planned. 6 have already occurred. Now, this was 2002. Each test costs about $100 million. Oh, my God. Each test costs about $100 million. So the testing alone will cost about $2.6 billion with a B, folks, before actual deployment occurs. Oh, that makes me spit nails. And the DOE is like whining because they have to spend over $1 billion emptying out the tanks at Hanford. They have their priorities all wrong. These people. Some people. Okay, back to the book. Beneficiaries. Raytheon and subcontractor Axis Technologies. Evaluation. It was announced by the Clinton administration that 2 out of the 3 flight tests of the prototype GBI EKV must be successful before presidential approval would be given to develop the NMD. The first qualifying test took place on October 2nd, 1999. The test was rigged to score a hit, as were some of its earlier predecessors. The hostile mission, launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, carried a large balloon that traveled alongside the target bomb. Because there is no friction in space, the balloon traveled as fast as the bomb, but it was designed so that its infrared signal was constant and it did not flicker like a normal signal from a tumbling bomb. Although the Pentagon claimed the balloon was a decoy, it actually served as a marker buoy to lure the EKV to close enough to sight the target, because the EKV had failed to orient itself correctly with the stars and had drifted off course. Eventually, it saw the balloon from the corner of its visual field, and after homing in on the balloon, it was able to see the bomb's flickering signal and make a kill. The strange sequence was described by Undersecretary of Defense Jacques Gansler. In this early test, we were trying to do, I'll read that again. In this early test, what we were trying to do was pull it off and so use something that was even larger and much more obvious. And we figured that might pull the interceptor off the target, and in fact it did in flight. It found this decoy first because it was larger, did have more radiation, and it found it first and it said, "Oh, there's the target," and then started to go for it. And its software said, "That's the wrong target," and then it shifted to the target that it had characterized it was supposed to have had. And that is as reported by the Washington Post. Both the interceptor and the target missile used the Navstar Global Positioning System, the GPS, to maneuver into a collision course. Obviously, a hostile missile would not be so obliging as to broadcast its position and trajectory, to signal its position, and to send up a marker balloon for its bombs. The next test was conducted on January 19, 2000. The EKV failed to intercept the target bomb because of a leak of liquid nitrogen utilized to cryogenically cool its infrared sensors. As in the previous test, a large balloon was also deployed, and the GPS accurately positioned the missile and interceptor. Space-based sensors and the battle management, command control, and communication systems were deployed, and the field of view for the EKV was increased to 210%. Still, it failed. The last test before Clinton was to make his decision took place on July 8, 2000. It failed for 3 reasons. The balloon did not inflate, the interceptor missile veered off course, and the EKV did not separate from the surrogate booster rocket. That would be bad. Apart from these problems, the tests in no way resemble the conditions that would exist in battle. Russian, North Korean, or Chinese missiles would fly from west to east, but the NMB test offensive missiles were launched from California to be intercepted by kill vehicles launched from an atoll in the mid-Pacific. As of this writing, 14 more test flights are scheduled, all with artificial band-aids that the previous tests deployed. As one senior official was heard to say during a briefing, "I'm trying to avoid defining what means success." These guys are so blatant. I mean, they don't want to define what means success. But they want our money. They want more than 50% of our annual budget. They take out more than 50% of every dollar we pay in taxes, but they can't define success. Really? I think success for them means sit down and shut up and give us your money. That's their success. Rats. Okay, back to this because it really is annoying to me. It's just like, what means, I'm trying to avoid defining what means success. Okay, however, Secretary of Defense Cohen, after the last failed test, said, with what journalist Mary McGrory of the Washington Post called striking sophistry, that the test itself was a disappointment, but it was one of those failures that was least expected. That happens from time to time, that you have a failure of something that's fairly routine. Ted Pistol, a professor of MIT who was a scientific advisor to the chief of naval operations in the 80s and helped develop the Trident II missile, said that the Pentagon had rigged missile tests to ensure success. After a 1997 test of an anti-missile revealed that it couldn't effectively distinguish decoys from warheads, the Pentagon stopped using decoys that would seriously challenge the defense weapon. Okay, Nina Schwartz, a senior physicist who worked with TRW in 1995 and 96, charged with that the TRW Corporation also falsified work in an effort to portray a kill vehicle as more capable than it actually was. She said that TRW certified to the government that interceptors using its computer programs would succeed more than 95% of the time in an identification of enemy warheads. But in fact, they only do so 5 to 15% of the time. That's criminal. Dr. Schwartz said that at some level, the Pentagon and its contractors were in collusion. You think? I mean, these people are battered wives. There is no other way to describe it. This is just, I'm sorry to laugh, but this is just insanity. Really? Dr. Schwartz said that at some level, the Pentagon and its contractors were in collusion. Doing da da doing doing, you think? It's not a defense of the United States. It's a conspiracy to allow them to milk the government. They are creating for themselves a job for life, unquote. Schwartz said that TRW fired her when she protested about alleged efforts to fudge test data to hide flaws in the system's inability to distinguish warheads from decoys. Pistol alleges that the Pentagon colluded with TRW to collate fraudulent test documents. The FBI is investigating these charges of fraud. I wonder what happened to that. I'm sure that they all came out, or maybe they proved fraud. And nobody went to jail. They proved fraud, and too bad. Keep paying us. Back to the book. Pistol alleges that the Pentagon colluded with TRW to collate fraudulent documents. The FBI is investigating these charges of fraud. Pistol also accused the Pentagon of significantly reducing the difficulty of the next 16 tests planned. Pistol and David Wright conducted a study of the efficacy of the NMD and found that the defense would not work because it can be overwhelmed with simpler, cheaper technologies, decoys. 3 major scientific groups supported Pistol in his stand. The American Physical Society of 42,000 physicists, the Federation of American Scientists, and the Union of Concerned Scientists, and 50 Nobel laureates called the planned system premature, wasteful, and dangerous. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see how much we're into the show. We're currently at 21 minutes. At 30 minutes, I'm going to take a station break. I'm just giving you a little advance, and we might as well thank our station anyways that carries our show. We know for sure kepw.org, www.kepw.org. For those of you listening on Spreaker, please do go to kepw.org. It is a community-sponsored, community-focused radio show. Brand new FM radio station here in Eugene, Oregon. Got one of 16 FCC licensed radio stations. It's in its infancy. We need support. It is a 501(c) station, and this is the membership month, so we are definitely looking for people to contribute. Any of you environmental scientists out there who may be retired or might be in the business who really want to put your muscle into it, please support this radio station. We have a unique venue, and you can please take a look at our schedule. We cover everything from houselessness, homelessness. I guess houselessness is the new politically correct way to say people that are homeless. We have a Spanglish show for our Latino communities. We have several shows for our Latino communities. And we also carry Nuclear Hot Seat and my show, the only two radio shows that I know on a regular basis that weekly put out things alerting the public about the harm of nuclear danger and giving those activists that are out there putting their lives on the line and actually doing the work and sitting in at public meetings, going into the courthouse, protesting, doing all this stuff. And many of them, frankly, have been affected. That's what gets people involved, is when your family starts getting sick, you start getting active. And that's where we're going, folks. So we want everybody to be active. And like I told you earlier in the show, my goal is that we can actually change the culture, which is why I love KEPW, because it is a cultural shift even among community-sponsored radio stations. I have never really seen a radio station that has really focused on consensus building and really works on giving every person a voice. Every single person has a voice. And to be honest, it's super awesome to be associated with them. So, let's see if I can find this. There you go. That's for kepw.org. And you guys can go to kepw.org online, click on the support button, and please give us a monthly membership. We want $5 a month. If you can give us $3 a month, that would be awesome. We need to build a budget, and we can only do that with your support. And for us, it helps us to know we're getting a little bit of money every month, then we can know how much we're getting. And for businesses, please, we do have an underwriting program, and you can call us or get in contact with me. You can contact me, Lonnie Clark, at nutzfoart, nutzfoart, at Gmail. That's my personal email account, and I am on the membership drive committee, so I can come out to you locally, or we can talk on the phone if you're long distance, and we can talk to you about getting an underwriting program going. Or you can do a monthly sustaining membership. And if you're a business and you want us to mention your business as sponsoring our shows 8 to 10 times a week for $100 a month, we would love to do that. We'll make the clip however you want it. It can't be more than 30 seconds long, and you can't advertise. But other than that, we definitely want your support. And I don't know, I'm going to go on about this. Hold on just a second. I'm going to play something. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. My phone will not turn off in this room, so that's just what's going to have to happen. I hope nobody else calls me. It is right after tax season, so I don't think I'll be able to edit this out, mostly because I'm doing this super late in the week because it's been tax season. So let's get back to Helen Caldicott's book, I guess. I am going to actually, on the other side of this half hour, talk to you about KEPW a little bit more, because this is our membership drive month, and I am dedicated to giving my 2 shows a week some time for KEPW. We want your support, and I guess we just have to ask for your support, because most people don't know that KEPW.org is a nonprofit radio station. In fact, most people don't know we exist because they hear us on the radio station driving around town, this really awesome, great programming, music that you cannot get anywhere. We play local musicians. You hear music you don't hear anywhere else. That is completely awesome. And so people drive around and they just take it for granted. They just hear in the middle of the dial, 97.3 FM. And people take it for granted that it's a for-profit radio station because it's in the middle of the dial, but it is not. It's 97.3 FM LP. I guess the LP means it's, middle of the dial, nonprofit. That was kind of my interpretation of what I was told. I don't know if that's true, but anyways, that's where we're at, 97.3 FM if you're in Eugene and Springfield. I think we even go out to Corvallis. Sometimes it gets a little dodgy out there, but it goes a good long ways around the Eugene and Oregon area in your car. And so please do tune in. You can go to 97.3 FM LP here in Eugene, Oregon, and go on to our website and send us a little monthly contribution to help KEPW grow and become a strong radio station and a voice for the people of the Willamette Valley. And actually, for the whole social and peace and justice movement, we are pushing ourselves through the issues at KEPW. That's why we have these nuclear shows. That we have a show about Water is Life, where we talk about honoring water and honoring life. We have a show for the houselessness. We have a show for our Latino. In fact, we have 3 shows for our Latino communities. We have a Spanglish show where the kids get on, kids that speak half English, half Spanish. And we have 2 programs with just pure Spanish music on in the morning when people are on their way to driving, because people want to hear their languages and their music to make their days happy. And so, I would encourage everyone to lean into KEPW and listen to all of our different shows. We have DJ Anonymous, who's actually a pretty brilliant, puts together a great show of different kinds of jazz music and stuff I can't quote, but it's pretty awesome when I hear it. And we have a lot of local musicians that if people who play in clubs and people who play on the street bring us their music, and we give them a voice. So I strongly urge people to support KEPW. It is the wave of the future, and frankly, it's the wave for millennials. We are opening up our entire venue for the youth to get involved. If anybody wants to join us in the Springfield, Eugene area, the first Thursday of every month, we have a potluck at 6 o'clock at KEPW's office right down, I think it's 454 Willamette. And you can look us up on the website, kepw.org. And it's kind of just a get to know each other kind of thing and figure out how you want to be involved. If you want to learn how to do the radio station stuff and sit behind the controls, or if you have a show you want to promote, or if you want to help bring in money. We want everyone, people who want to work in the office, So, as I said, we're burgeoning. So, thank you, KEPW.org, 97.3 FM LP. And it's our membership drive month, and so we are encouraging everyone who listens to this radio show to please contribute a little bit to KEPW. Let's keep this station getting stronger and stronger. And as we grow, so will the Eugene, Springfield area, and frankly, hopefully, so will the world, because we are bringing the voice of freedom, peace, and love. I'm all about a love revolution. I say happiness is resistance, and love is greater than fear. So we need to walk in love, and that means understand that we're all in this toxic stew together, all parties. And we need to be able to forgive each other and move forward and figure out what the solutions are. Enough of the Church of Lonnie. I guess I went on about 10 minutes about KEPW, so I'm going to continue to read. Thank you for listening, by the way. And you can go to my YouTube channel, Nutzfoart, if you want to see some of the videos that I put together. Okay, so we are back to this. Missile Defense, new subchapter. Theater Missile Defense Ground-Based Radar, TMD-GBR. This particular radar is a small ground-based portable sensor that can be transported by plane. It can search, track, and discriminate for specific missiles, designed to receive and instantaneously process data from all relevant sensors. It can form, I can't read that sentence. Designed to receive and instantaneously process data from all relevant sensors, satellites, and other radars. It can form a detailed picture of the attack. A commander will then theoretically be equipped with the necessary data to direct the TMD weapons to intercept a hostile missile attack if he has time. Cost, an estimated $5.4 billion. Beneficiary, Raytheon is the primary contractor. Evaluation, no evaluation available. New subtitle, Ballistic Missile Early Warning Systems, BMEWS. This is one of the two early warning radar systems that feed into the ground-based radar system. The radar at Flyingdale in Yorkshire, England, has three faces and therefore operates over a 360-degree circle. Other installations at Clear, Alaska, and Thule, Greenland, consist of two-faced phase array radars that monitor 240 degrees of azimuth. Each face monitors 100 degrees of azimuth, the arc of the heavens from the horizon to its zenith. Azimuth. That's the arc of the heavens from the horizon to the zenith. Cost, not available. Beneficiary, BMEWS radars are made by Raytheon. Evaluation, the Pentagon wishes to upgrade these facilities to become X-band radars, but neither Denmark nor Britain is willing to approve any new installations that do not comply with the ABM treaty. The U.S. is assessing alternative plans, including placing X-band radars on commercial ships in international waters. We have the most insane leaders in the world, folks. I am just going to say that straight up. These people are not even rational. Wow. I bet they beat their wives. I guarantee it. New subtitle, Perimeter Acquisition of Vehicle Entry Phase Array Warning System. Another radar acquired for BMC3. There are two of these two-faced phase array radars in the United States, one at the Cape Cod Air Force Station in Massachusetts and one at the Beale Air Force Base in California. Cost, not available. Beneficiary, manufactured by Raytheon. Evaluation, this thing is called PAVE-PAWS, Perimeter Acquisition of Vehicle Entry Phased Array Warning Systems. PAVE-PAWS has been in place for many years as an integral part of the early warning system, but it has to be upgraded to a more sophisticated system for NMD. Missile-Based Infrared System, SBIRS, SPEARS. Radars must be supported and complemented by infrared tracking satellites that detect heat and flames emanating from the end tails of missiles. The current system of infrared satellites is called the Defense Support Program and consists of 3 satellites deployed in synchronous orbit. They move at the same speed as the Earth's rotation and continuously overlook one area of the Earth, namely the Indian Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. There may be more DSP satellites, but the exact number is classified. 3 upgraded replacement satellites of the DSP systems are about to be launched, and the last scheduled for 2003. Apart from DSP, the Pentagon is about to deploy another set of satellites specifically for Star Wars. Remember that? Write a new subtitle. High orbit space-based infrared systems. Approved by the Pentagon since 1994, this system will consist of 4 satellites in synchronous orbit around the equator, plus another 2 satellites in highly elliptical polar orbits, providing effective coverage of the northern regions of the globe. Spears High will monitor the hot exhaust plumes of missile launches and is due to replace the DSP system in 2004. This system will be better able to determine the exact launch and impact points of a missile and its trajectory. Cost: $2 billion for 6 geosynchronous orbit satellites and infrared sensors that will ride piggyback on other satellites. Beneficiaries: the main contractor is Lockheed Martin. There are 6 subcontractors. Evaluation: the Comptroller's Office has instructed the Air Force to delay the launches of satellites 2 through 4 by 1 year so that the money can go through other programs. Wow. These people are genuinely evil. Low orbit space-based infrared system Spears Low. Low orbit satellites will complement the high orbit satellites by tracking hostile missiles and hydrogen bombs through space, the mid-course phase, after their booster motors have died, thus providing better targeting and engagements for the kill vehicles. Spears Low will consist of between 18 and 32 small satellites in low orbit, about 250 miles high. They will have the ability to look through clouds and darkness. Some will use electronic cameras. Data is to be relayed from one low-orbit satellite to another by laser beam, reaching the relevant command center at the speed of light. The information will be rapidly relayed to the ground-based radars. In turn, they will send the trajectory information about the missiles to the kill interceptors. Cost: the Air Force plans to spend a total of $11.8 billion on Spears Low. Beneficiaries: 11 contractors are already working on this project. The prime contractor is to be Spectrum Astro, with Northrop Grumman Corporation as the main partner. Evaluation: in February 2001, the GAO warned, the Air Force's current Spears Low acquisition schedule is at high risk of not delivering the system on time or at a cost with expected performance. It identified 3 problem areas. The current acquisition schedule does not provide for flight test results or crucial satellite functions or capabilities until 5 years after production has started. What? 5 of the 6 critical technologies have been judged immature for the current state of the program. Alternative terrestrial systems to the Spears Low have not been investigated. Let's just bilk the American public. $11 billion. 11.8, that's $12 billion. Single Integrated Air Picture, it's called SIAP. SciAp will provide a sophisticated common battlefield picture for aircraft, missile crews, and ballistic missile defense. It will be designed to integrate huge quantities of information from sensors and intelligence information from the three services, and the result will be instantaneously available to every commander. The Navy already has such a system called Cooperative Engagement Capability, CEC. Computers combine all the fleet's radar, sensor, and targeting systems into a single picture displayed on the computer screens in ships and aircraft that determine which ship or aircraft should track the targets and which should engage them. By 2007, the Navy hopes to have CEC equipment on all cruisers and destroyers with Aegis radars. The Army wants CEC for its Patriot PAC-3 batteries. The Air Force will also develop their own form of CEC for its AWACS. Cost: tens of billions of dollars. Beneficiary: Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. New subtitle. Hold on just one second. New subtitle: NND Infrastructure. Even a relatively simple missile defense system requires a massively complex interconnecting system of ground-based radars, sensors, detectors, satellites, command centers, computers, radio transmitters, and personnel. Let us now examine this infrastructure, remembering that it could be modified for a full-scale first strike system. Radar stations already exist in strategic locations around the world as part of the U.S. early warning system. These can also be used for the Star Wars systems. Coordinating their data collection with space-based infrared sensors on satellites, they would be able to detect launches of hostile missiles and give an imprecise idea of the missile's location. Once the imprecise location is determined, newly constructed X-band radars, which would violate the ABM treaty, will take over and give the precise location and condition of the missile by tracking the target. The X-band radar will then provide the kill assessment. The construction of the first X-band radar is planned for Shama Island, part of the Aleutian Island chains of Alaska, the most western point of the United States, in direct line with any attack on the U.S. from North Korea, but also conveniently in direct line with Russia and China. 3 other X-band radars are to be constructed in other strategic locations around the globe, including Flyingdale in Yorkshire, England, and Vardø, Norway. There are also rumors that America is planning a total of 9 X-band radars in place, such as Pine Gap, Australia, and possibly in Japan and South Korea. A multi-week exercise called Integrated Ground System Test, IGT-6, was conducted in February 2001 at the Integrated System Test Capability 2 facility, a new site located at the Army Space and Missile Defense Command's Advanced Research Center in Huntsville, Alabama. This IGT-6 operation involved the test of the next NMD intercept. The previous 3 have failed. Officials assess the operability of the NMD integration efforts by deploying nodal computers representing each element of the complex system. Using the most advanced software and processors. Okay, let me read that sentence again, folks, because it didn't jive in my head. I don't know if I know I didn't read it right, so I'm going to read it again. Because this stuff we got to stuff into our heads so we can know how to talk to these people. Officials assess the operability of the NMD integration efforts by deploying nodal computers representing each element of the complex system using the most advanced software and processors. The exercises were conducted in real time, meaning no delay, and according to Pentagonese language, were designed to validate the functionality of element-to-element interface and to mitigate the risk to NMD intercept tests. These ground tests are crucial to the NMD program because they will provide, as the military says, the vast majority of information needed for milestone decisions along the way to a fully integrated and operational Star Wars systems. Wow. IGT-6 was used to test engagement scenarios involving limited attacks from 3 geological regions: North Korea, the Middle East, Libya, and from accidental unauthorized launches from Russia and China. The Ballistic Missile Defense Organization, BMDO, already has operational IGT nodes for the Anti-Ballistic Missiles Battle Management Command, Control, and Communication System, for the ground-based X-band, the upgraded Early Warning Radar, the In-Flight Interceptor Communication Systems, the Defense Support Program Satellites, the Space-Based Infrared System Satellites, and the Ground-Based Interceptor. This infrastructure will all feed into a battle management computer. Oh my God. As I'm reading this, I don't know if you guys are able to comprehend this reading it week by week, but for me, especially with Don, this is why I wanted to read this book, because they're talking about rolling out the Star Wars program. Space Force, right? He is the messenger to roll out the fascism. And I know I read this on my Spreaker thing, was Carl Grossman's book, and I think it was also on KEPW. This is a real plan. They plan on doing this, and that's what this is all about. They're setting up these systems. Billions and billions of dollars have already been spent, billions and trillions now. And the Department of Energy is whining because they have to spend over $1 billion cleaning up Hanford. That just makes me spit nails. Back to Helen Caldicott's book. We've got about 10 minutes here. I'm going to start. It's a brand new subtitle called, in big bold letters, Overall Evaluation of Battle Management, Command, Control, and Communication Systems, BMC3. The crux of the Star Wars system, a battle management computer designed to plan, coordinate, direct, and control the Star Wars weapons and its sensors, is essentially a computer system with millions or billions of lines of programming. No computer is perfect. Even the simplest desktop computers fail because of software problems. According to software experts, the increase in difficulty of writing software is not linear but exponential. Moving from 10 to 20 lines is not twice but 100 times as difficult. The difficulties inherent in a program of millions upon millions of lines of computer codes are impossible to imagine. A bug in a desktop computer is a nuisance, but in a missile defense computer it could mean nuclear winter. Under conditions of attack, there will be virtually no human input, except perhaps a split-second decision by a military operator. Certainly there will be no time for civilian or political input. John Pike, a space and military policy analyst, formerly of the Federation of American Scientists, says that by the time the missile defense system is operational, the computer software that assesses the attack and analyzes the response options will be the culmination of many thousands of work years of modeling and calculation and simulation and refinement and testing. The software is going to be infinitely better position to make a considered judgment about what should be done than a few human beings sitting in a room. There will be too much stuff going on too fast for human operators to figure it all out. There just won't be any time for mere human meddling. Unquote. In other words, the decision to go to war or to annihilation will be removed from the president in the Oval Office and given instead to a computer manned by a military officer sequestered in an underground command post. Computerized or fully automated war would infinitely be necessary in a boost-phase counterattack, favored by George W. Bush, where there would only be a few tens of seconds to detect a launch and another few seconds to fire. Unfortunately, the battle management computer can never be tested under operating conditions. The first actual test will occur when the U.S. is under attack. Oh, that makes you feel good, doesn't it? They're actually planning this. This is actually really going on. If you think this is not happening right this second, think again, folks. This is probably the most important information that we can feed you. And I am talking even including climate change. Because, I don't know, maybe it's all the same. The nuclear liars, the climate change, the geoengineering. It's beyond comprehension. Okay, let's get back to this book. Here is one scenario. North Korea fires a missile containing 5 chemical warheads. In response, the U.S. launches a dozen interceptor missiles, which appear on China's primitive early warning radar screen. Behind it is, believing it is under attack, China launches its nuclear missiles at the U.S. before they can be destroyed in their silos from a U.S. first strike. America, detecting this unexpected Chinese attack, immediately launches its hair-trigger missiles, initiating a full-scale nuclear war. Another scenario, postulated by former missileer Bruce Blair. What if a country is just going to test a missile? Are we going to knock it out just because it has a range to reach our country? It could be a peaceful launch, and I think that's exactly what we've done. I think our country has actually done that, where we knocked out test missiles. Just because they were testing it, and we said, no, no, no. New subtitle. The innate chaos of complex computer systems. Other insuperable problems plagued by the Star Wars systems. The most fundamental is an inherent aspect of rocket science, called the brittle problem by students of complexity theory. It is simply this. Should one tiny part of a hugely complex, interconnected system fail, the whole thing fails. Compounding the brittle factor is the flub factor. The more complex a system, the more likely it is that something unanticipated will fail. With 30 minutes or less from a time a missile is launched until it reaches its target, there is no time to fix anything. As Gottfried J. Meyer, adjunct professor of kinesiology at Pennsylvania State University, memorably noted some years ago, the booster fails to separate from the payload, and New York is history, and a particularly chilling speculation in the light of the September 11th attacks. We have a few more minutes. I think we have 8 minutes. I'm going to keep going. New subtitle. Is NMD just a front for first strike winnable nuclear war? Ooh. I don't think there is a winnable nuclear war. Like, for real. Even if you get first strike, there's no winnable. You have a nuclear war, we're super screwed, all of us. In 1977 and 1980, Jimmy Carter's presidential directives 18 and 59 clearly described the 4 components of first strike capability. Anti-satellite, let's see. I'm going to go back. Let me read that again. These are the 4 components. Okay, 1977 and 80, Jimmy Carter's presidential directives 18 and 59 clearly described the 4 components of first strike capability. Anti-satellite, or ASAT, weapons to knock out the Soviet early warning system. Decapitation, number 2, decapitation, destruction of the Soviet leadership with extremely accurate Pershing 11 missiles before they press their button. Number 3, counterforce, destruction of most Soviet missiles in hardened silos, submarines, mobile launchers, and strategic bomber fleet by MX or D5 missiles. And number 4, strategic defense initiative, a ballistic missile defense system to mop up any Soviet missiles that survived counterforce and had been launched. No presidents have signed any significant treaties agreeing to back away from a stance that was adopted at the height of the Cold War. And I would submit that first strike winnable nuclear war is the real secret agenda of the Star Wars revitalization. Oh my gosh, I hope you are wrong, Dr. Caldicott, because we cannot handle a first strike war. I hope that they just keep it about, having control of the space to have all the assets out there. Does NMD violate international treaties? Almost all of the plans of the NMD and most involving TMD will violate the ABM treaty, the cornerstone of all other nuclear arms control treaties. The ABM treaty, for example, directs that America and the former Soviet Union, now specifically Russia, can operate only one regional interceptor defense system each. The current systems are in North Dakota and Moscow, respectively, making the new Alaska-based system a clear violation. The treaty would also be violated by upgrading the present U.S. radar systems by implementing a defense system covering all 50 states instead of the agreed-upon 48, by installing a new satellite network, or by shifting the interceptor system to a new location, all of which are being currently proposed as part of George W. Bush's National Missile Defense Plan. The ABM treaty states that because no country can protect itself against a nuclear attack, each side must therefore live in fear of mutually assured destruction. Logically, under these circumstances, no country would be foolish enough to launch a nuclear war. Thus, the ABM treaty has always been intended as a brake on unrestrained nuclear arms buildup, and has proven effective since its signing in 1972. Its violation by either party would be an unconscious or extraordinarily destabilizing act in the world bristling with nuclear weapons. Yet the U.S. openly plans to violate the ABM treaty, and justifying his plans, George W. Bush told an audience in Iowa in 1999, "When I was coming up, it was a dangerous world, and you knew exactly who they were. It was us versus them, and it was clear who them was. Today, we're not so sure who they are, but we know they're there." Wow. I think I'm going to end there. We're at the top of page 109. I want to thank you for listening to me. This is your host, Lonnie Clark, with the Age of Fission radio show. You can follow my YouTube podcast on Nutzfoart, NUTZFORART. You can contact me at nutzfoart at Gmail, or as my outro will tell you, at ageoffission at Gmail also. Please do tune in to kepw.org. It's live streaming live, 93.7, I got that backwards, 93.7 FMLP here in Eugene, Oregon. We really appreciate everybody supporting our programs and supporting our radio station. We're growing, and we are proud, and we are glad to be part of the community of Lane County and making it a better place. So please do go listen to us, kepw.org. Become a sustaining member or make a one-time generous contribution of whatever you can afford. And our hats are off to you. Thank you for becoming a member of KEPW and being part of us. We will be having some fundraising events around town, so please do look in your Eugene Weekly for those events. And we will talk to you on Saturday mornings. My show's on Saturday mornings now, Thursday nights and Saturday mornings. Nuclear Hot Seat is at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. So we'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
The Age of Fission radio show brings you book readings, pertinent articles, interviews with both activists and victims of nuclear and environmental contamination. We strive to deliver only the facts from reliable sources. We want to remind you that love is greater than fear, and happiness is resistance. Our dedication to love and happiness paves the road for innovation and healing. As we face our harsh reality, Let us hold each other up and rejoice in our humanity. If you want to comment, please send your thoughts to ageoffission@gmail.com. That's AGEOFFISSION@gmail.com to your host, Lonnie Clark.
You're listening to KEPW LP 97.3 FM, serving Eugene and Springfield. Also live streaming at www.kepw.org.